morning. Good morning.
They have the audio muted till the meeting starts.
Excuse me, can you repeat?
They have the audio muted till the meeting starts, so they won't be able to hear you until they start the meeting.
Okay, are you hearing me all right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
They have the audio muted till the meeting starts.
Excuse me, can you repeat?
They have the audio muted till the meeting starts, so they won't be able to hear you until they start the meeting.
Okay, are you hearing me all right?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
They have the audio muted till the meeting starts.
Excuse me, can you repeat?
They have the audio muted till the meeting starts, so they won't be able to hear you until they start the meeting.
Okay, are you hearing me all right?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. They're done with their pleasantries. Yeah, I'm ready. I was waiting for you. Good morning and welcome to the San Joaquin Valley Insurance Authority meeting. I'm Amy Shucklian, your chair. We're going to start our meeting today with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask my colleague from Fresno County, Supervisor Pacheco, to lead us.
All right.
Good morning and welcome to the San Joaquin Valley Insurance Authority meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Do we typically do a roll call, or do you want to do a roll call? Okay, we're going to do a roll call. Everybody's here except Supervisor Mendez, but go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. Director Bredefeld. Director Magsig. Director Mendez. Director Macari.
Here.
Director Pacheco.
Here.
Director Shucklian.
Here.
Director Vanderpool.
Okay, thank you. Our first item is an action item, and that is approval of the consent agenda. If there are no public comment or comments from directors or corrections, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion on the consent calendar as presented, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay.
Our first item is an action.
We have a
item,
second?
That is approval of the consent agenda. If there,
Supervisor Magsig, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, we will move on. Our next item is public comment. This is a time members of the public may comment on any item within the jurisdiction of the SJVIA not appearing on the agenda. In order for everyone to be heard, please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone wishing to be placed on the agenda for a specific topic should contact the SJVIA manager's office and submit correspondence at least 14 days before the desired date of appearance. Do we have anybody in chambers today that would like to speak for public comment?
Director Joaquin, could I just interrupt for just a moment? We missed an agenda item of approval of today's agenda.
I didn't do that? I didn't do that?
No, you didn't. You might have just did the consent.
I was gonna go back to it.
I'll second that, even though our chair missed it, I'm happy to second.
Yeah.
We did, for clarification, we did the consent agenda, and now we're
No,
doing
that's fine.
the regular
I
agenda.
believe you more than I remember myself, so. So we have a
not gonna take
motion.
Pete's word for it.
No, we're not. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor for approval of the agenda, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Now, is there anybody here that would like to speak for public comment? Okay, no pushing, no shoving. It doesn't look like it. So we'll move on to item 7, which is to receive an update from the auditor treasurer on cash flow projections. Good morning.
Good morning. Jose Pelaje from the Auditor's Controller's Office. I'm here to give an update on the SJVIA cash position. From June 2nd through July 28, SJVIA had a weekly cash average of $48,495,873, with a low of $45,384,321 and a high of $51,878,436. During this period, the Anthem's claims weekly average was around $1,354,039. The significant increase in cash from June 23rd through July 7th that you see in this chart is due to a combined revenue deposit received on June 30 of 2025. I say combined because every 2 weeks we expect to receive some revenue, and due to the paperwork preparation, the review process, and other factors, we end up receiving 2 revenues combined in 1 deposit. Thus, that causes some of those types of fluctuations. Next slide, please. From August 4th through October 27th, SJVIA average cash position is projected to be around $47,154,278. Next slide, please. As of August 6, 2025, SJVIA had a cash balance of $47,892,641. If we subtract the IBNR, the 3-month stabilization, and the Gallagher settlement, the total excess of cash was $9,963,465. Let me know if you have any questions of any of these numbers.
Any questions? Yes, super. That's why I looked towards you, because
Second favorite Armenian. So just looking at cash flows, what we've projected the last 12 months, are you seeing anything that's concerning, or do you feel that, I mean, with a $9+ million excess position in cash, that's positive, but is there anything that's concerning that you're seeing?
Nothing concerning. I do notice that through the years, from fiscal year to fiscal year, revenues increase more than actual expenditures, so that's why you see that increase in cash every quarter.
All right, thank you.
Supervisor Randall?
Yeah, and I was just going to add, I like seeing the IBNR accounted for as well, because that's, the big unknown when you're an insurance plan. We've got these expenses that are out there, they just haven't been reported yet, so we've got to be aware of that. Thank you.
Supervisor Maxig, and let me just make a note. You and I kind of spoke about this earlier. I am seeing a concerning trend with some outpatient services exceeding sometimes an outpatient just for the physician services, 200,000. So this is something I am watching very closely, but it started with outpatient 100,000, and now I'm seeing it doubled about. And so stay tuned on that. We'll be informing the board, but I just want to inform you, we are seeing some high claims on that.
And Hollis, can you clarify, was that a Tulare County employee or a Fresno County employee?
Fresno.
Okay, good, thank you. We've had a lot of high claims, I'm just joking, come on.
Once again, you're not funny. I've been telling him that for 8 years, but he just doesn't get it. But anyway, okay. Any more information on that, or can we move to item 8? That was just an information item.
Yes,
You ready
correct.
are you doing 8 also?
And yes, I'm doing 8.
All right, thank you.
Okay, in this report, as we can see, as of June 30, 2025, SJVIA had $148,703,430 in actual expenses paid and $148,860,230 budgeted appropriations. This budgeted appropriations amount includes the $6,073,400 appropriations increase previously requested and approved. Overall, the SJVIA remaining appropriations was $156,700 as of June 30, 2025. Some expenditures ended fiscal year 25 with a surplus and others with a deficit. We are requesting board approval to transfer a total of $3,410,000 between accounts as indicated in this report, and that is just to ensure that current posted expenditures are in accordance with budgetary requirements. Let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions from directors? Okay.
Well,
Oh, Larry.
my big question I have is, are we going to be doing any research on our plans to try to offset some of these costs? Because we're in the red pretty good, 10 million is what it's looking at on our fund balance. And we just got a $9 million excess on the other side. 7 million of that was our claims, our settlement fees. But I want to see what are we doing moving forward, making some plan adjustments, something to what we can do to help offset these costs to make it more feasible. Maybe is there going to be a presentation later on that, or do you know the answers? Or
I think, well,
Supervisor McCary, the negative that you're seeing right now, it's an additional revenue. It's not actually a deficit. So we have more revenue coming in than anticipated. That's what it's showing.
Okay, so it's going to be, okay, I just saw the final line of a red mark and a deficit. I want to make sure that that's not.
No, for the revenue, it will be a surplus. You have more coming in.
All right, I misunderstood. Thank you, sorry.
Not a problem.
Well,
Nathan?
so on that, looking at, so Kaiser premium expense, this is just revenues and expenditures. The final budget was 143 million, actual came in at 153, so I think that's why you're seeing that -10. But just a question on the Kaiser portion, because it seems like that is one of the major drivers. Did we see just claims exceed what we had budgeted for Kaiser? Is that what's driving that $2.9 million deficit position, and why we need to approve roughly a 3.41 million additive to this item?
I think one of the factors too that has to do with this negative balance for Kaiser is that on fiscal year 25, we paid a PID, a transmittal from fiscal year 24. So we're basically taking that expense from a prior year and into the current fiscal year. That is the reason, one of the reasons why we were a little short on Kaiser for that estimated appropriation. So we basically paid what we were supposed to be paid in fiscal year 24, we paid it in fiscal year 25. So that actually decreased our current fiscal year appropriations, and that's why we see some of those negatives. Yes.
Brittany Simmons, Senior HR Analyst, County of Fresno. On the Kaiser plans, there's no claims that we're paying. It's a fully insured product. So we're just paying the premium cost per member given to us by Kaiser. We did see a migration away from Kaiser just due to rates last year, so that would be also a reason for the difference. But there would not be any high-cost claimants coming in, any high claims coming in that we're paying directly to Kaiser.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else on that item? That's it?
Yes,
Okay, we have a motion from Supervisor Magsick with a second from Supervisor Makari. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Okay, item 9 is to approve and authorize the president to execute an agreement with Clifton Larson Allen LLP for independent auditor services.
Okay, on December 20, 2024, a report for proposal for audit services was issued by the Auditor's Controller's Office. Clifton Larson Allen, also known as CLA, and Vasquez and Company submitted a proposal to offer their services. Both proposals were evaluated by a County of Fresno Auditor Controller's Office review committee. And based on both the cost and technical criteria combined outlined in the RFP, CLA received the highest overall rating. We are requesting the board to approve and authorize the president to execute an agreement with CLA for independent audit services for fiscal year 25 through 27 with 2 one-year extension options for a total fixed cost not to exceed $151,990, which includes the performance of a single audit if it is required. Let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions regarding this item?
Only question I would have is just, is this dollar amount consistent with what it's been historically, or is this a significant increase year over year?
So last couple of years, we paid the previous auditor $28,404 for fiscal year 24 and $28,904 for fiscal year 23. So this year, if we don't need a single audit, we will be paying $25,515 to CLA. That's a $3,389 less to what we paid last year.
Great, thank you.
Great. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval.
Supervisor Vanderpool, second by Supervisor Bredefeld. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, I got a little excited on this when I said authorize the president to execute. I was hoping afterwards it said Pete Vanderpool, but it didn't. So we'll move on to item 10, which is to receive an update on Anthem's network contract
That was your
negotiations
not funny
with
comment,
No,
Madam
that was
Chair.
funny. With Stanford. This is an information item. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Eddie Barfield with Keenan and Associates. I'm here today to share an update related to Anthem and their negotiations with Stanford Health to come to a contract agreement. As of this past Thursday, August 20th, Anthem did share an announcement with SJVIA staff that an agreement has been reached between Anthem and Stanford prior to the anticipated or targeted potential termination date of September 1st. So as a result of that agreement being in place, there will be no disruption to members that are currently or in the future receiving care at Stanford facilities across their facilities amongst the counties. I will share that terms of the agreement related to contract length was not disclosed, as Anthem considers that proprietary information.
Well, that's good news. Thank you, Eddie. Any other questions on that?
No, I also think it's very good news for a lot of people who use Stanford.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. It always seems like every year there's something like this that comes up with the negotiations, and thankfully it ends up being a positive. So thank you for the report.
You're welcome.
Okay, our next item is to receive consultants' medical, dental, and vision experience reports through June 2025. Is that you too, Eddie? You
That
didn't
is
go-
me as well.
You didn't sit down,
Yeah,
so,
two for one here. Well, good. Again, Eddie Barfield with Keenan and Associates, and I'm here today to present the consultant report related to the summary of the 2025 year-to-date plan experience for SJVIA, covering the medical, dental, and vision benefits through June 30th, 2025. This report includes data for the self-funded medical and dental plans, as well as the fully insured vision plan. As of note, the Kaiser and Delta Dental DHMO experience is not included in this report. As of June 30th, 2025, SJVIA has accumulated a total surplus of $3,137,404. This surplus comprises of a $2,977,530 surplus for the self-funded medical and prescription drug plans, which includes prescription drug rebates. Other component is a $159,874 surplus from the self-funded dental plans, Also to consider a $42,935 accumulated position related to the fully insured VSP vision plan. And just to note of that, because that's a fully insured plan, any excess premium is retained by the carrier. Of that surplus amount, I'd like to be able to share with you a county level breakdown. So for Fresno County, shows a surplus of just over $3,729,000. County of Tulare shows a deficit of $591,767. These figures are based on the individual counties' plan experience and their portion share of the prescription drug rebates. For the Kaiser plans, the budgeted margin for 2025 is just over $333,000. Year-to-date accumulation is $165,645, which is nearly equal to the budgeted figure that we have projected at this point in time of the year. With this consultant report, just all I want to make an important note, as it was shared in the auditor's report, this report does not include any funds allocated for incurred but not paid or reported reserves or stabilization reserves. As it was shared, that was part of the auditor's report. So in summary, SJVA is in a strong financial position for 2025, obviously driven by the favorable plan performance related to dental and the substantial prescription drug rebates. While Tulare County shows a deficit, Fresno County's surplus more than offsets it, contributing to the overall positive outlook for the SJVIA. With that, thank you for your time and happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Eddie. Are there any questions regarding this item? Okay, this was an information item, so we will move on to item 12, which is an action item to receive consultants SJVIA actuarially certified incurred but not reported reserve report. Borden?
Okay. Hello, Borden Darm with Keenan, and I'm hoping the wonderful world of technology is in my favor. We have hopefully Art, yes, we do have Art. Art Turner-Sessian from our actuarial and underwriting department, who is virtual and who will be giving the IBNR report. Art?
I'm here to present the incurred but not reported or IBNR reserve estimates
and who will be giving
for the self-funded medical, prescription drug, and dental plans for the counties of Fresno and Tulare as of June 30th, 2025. These estimates, prepared by Keenan Associates, ensure that we're ready for unreported claims. So let's dive in. First, a quick look at the last 12 months of claims experience from July 2024 through June 2025. These estimates, prepared by Keenan for the county of Fresno, Total paid claims hit 66.8 million across medical, prescription drug and dental plans, covering an average of 4,688 to 5,284 employees monthly. For the county of Tulare, total paid claims were 41.6 million, with an average of 3,000 to 3,300 employees monthly. So these totals anchor our reserve estimates. Now, the unpaid claim liabilities as of June 30th, 2025, before any adjustments. For the county of Fresno, based on June's employee counts, for medical, it's 4.2 million for 4,792 employees. For prescription drug, 1.2 million. For dental, 183,000 for 5,330 employees, totaling 5.5 million. For the county of Tulare, medical, 2.7 million for 3,300 employees. Prescription drug, 880,000. For dental, 96,000 for 3,000 employees, totaling 3.6 million. So these are starting figures for claims we expect. After applying a 15% adjustment factor for variables like claims fluctuations, here are the final IBNR reserves. For the county of Fresno, medical, 4.84 million. Prescription drug, 1.3 million. Dental, 221,000, totaling 6.4 million. For the county of Tulare, medical, 3.1 million. Prescription drug, 1 million. Dental, 110,000, totaling 4.2 million. Combined, the SJVIA's total IBNR reserve is about 10.6 million, a moderate increase of 400,000 from December 2024's IBNR reserve estimates. These estimates are certified by Christine Hoff, a fellow of the Society of Actuaries and vice president at Keenan Associates. They follow generally accepted actuarial principles with reasonable assumptions reflecting our best estimate. We stand behind these numbers. In summary, reserves of 6.4 million for Fresno and 4.2 million for Tulare keep us prepared for what's to come. I'd be happy to discuss or take any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Do we have any questions? Supervisor Magsig.
Yeah, just looking at the 11% increase for Fresno for prescription drugs, and then also County of Tulare, 10% increase for prescription drugs in the IBNR reserve. I guess my question is, while the previous item that we dealt with, we had higher rebates that came back, it's because utilization has gone up significantly, and I think that's what's also driving the need for higher IBNR for those particular categories. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, especially in today's RX markets where we have very expensive and highly specialized drugs. We're seeing prescription drug annual trends of around 11%. So those numbers fall in line.
And then just a quick question for Hollis and Lupe. And this might be out of order. If it is, you can just tell me. But I think we're in the midst of an RFP for prescription, and hopefully one of the things that we're looking for is ways to reduce utilization through health, and then also to try to move from some of the more expensive drugs to generics. Is that one of the things that we're looking for in that RFP?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, this is an action item, so I will entertain a motion. Supervisor McCary, second by Supervisor Bredefeld. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Abstain. Oppose. Okay, motion passes. Item 13 is to receive Keenan Pharmacy Services Consultants Report on Empiric's pharmacy utilization. Well, that was a good segue, wasn't it?
Good morning, everybody. Michelle Porter with Keenan Pharmacy Services. I'm going to go over quarter two of 2025. SJVIA's total plan cost did increase. I kind of keep hearing that today, 19% in quarter two. For the group as a whole, it went up 19%, 9.7 million compared to 8.1 million in quarter one. For Tulare, it was 4 million compared to 3.5 million, and then Fresno 5.7 compared to 4.6. We've been talking about that the last couple of times. Script count has increased, utilization has increased, your membership has increased. This quarter is slightly different. Your overall script count decreased, but there was a pretty significant increase in both your brand channels and your specialty channels, those high-cost claims. Overall, it went down 3,100, but your enrollment also went down a little bit this quarter compared to, we'd seen increases every quarter previously. Your specialty claims plan costs did increase. It went up $1 million, so some of that, those again, high-cost specialty claims are a driving force in there. I mentioned your enrollment changes did drop in this quarter, a total of 21 member change. For Tulare, 39 member change, and for Fresno, 18. I know we had a discussion last meeting. What's the difference of that? We're still digging into that, and we're looking across all months of this year. So I'll have a follow-up for you on, is it, age, member dependent, et cetera. So that's a follow-up that we're still closing out on. Patient Saver Plus program, also known as the VCAP program, in total from May 2024 through April of 2025, $648,000 in savings. Tulare had $286,000 and Fresno $361,000. Reported last month, the Q1 rebates was 1.7. Q2 rebates won't be paid until October 8th, so we'll have a follow-up for that as soon as those are received. And the estimated clinical savings annual guarantee is 1.8 million, and in quarter one, we were already over $1 million. Quarter two, we'll have that around October 8th, same time as the rebates get paid. Not much change in our top clinical cost drivers into Q2. One update is I was able to fix that where we were seeing the GLP-1s listed out by strength, so we did get that corrected. Wegovy still your number one, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound, which all has not changed in the last year or so.
Quick question I have on that. When I look at the GLP-1s, they treat ADHD, anti-narcolepsy, anti-obesity, anorexins. Is there any breakdown of what the issues are for our employees? So as we strategize with our wellness efforts, what we can target? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Let me take it back. Let me get with Empirics to try and see, because they do have to go through a prior authorization. So we know what they're getting prior auth and approved for by, those indications. Let me see if I can get that broken down. I'll provide that back to staff.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. And then just an update of some things in the news. On May 12th, President Trump issued an executive order, titled the Delivering Most Favored Nation Pricing, calling on the manufacturers to lower those prices to every single Medicaid patient, requiring manufacturers to stipulate that they won't offer some of these things to developed nations, using the trade policy to support more raising their prices internationally versus us. And then on July 31st, he sent a direct letter to major pharmaceutical companies to compel them to lower our prices here in the US. Letters went out to key major manufacturers across the board. Given, this potential impact, this could impact roles of PBMs. We are continuing to evaluate and monitor this policy. There's already been some pushback and some things that are coming out that they could not turn around as quickly as he was asking them to get those things lowered, but it is something we are monitoring and just giving you an update. As we get more updates, we'll provide them. Any questions?
Any questions? I have one. So I've started using on some occasion Amazon Pharmacy, And sometimes I noticed it'll give you a price with insurance and a price without insurance, and sometimes the price without insurance is less than the insurance price. So is that something that we can look into? I mean, why is it less than the insurance price? And I mean, if we could get folks to use, purchase their prescriptions without insurance, I don't know if that would help our numbers at all.
Let me look into it. I know, sometimes different discounts that they have, with the manufacturers, et cetera, but let me look into specifically, some of those cost prices. I'll bring it back to staff and we can discuss further.
Yeah, just something to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nope, a very good point.
Thank you.
All right.
Larry?
I can say that I use GoodRx sometimes, and it's actually much cheaper than our insurance, than what I pay. So, I don't understand why or how, but a GoodRx card I got keep in my wallet. My doctor even gave it to me, because here, do this, it'll beat any insurance price, and it beats it by half. So I don't know, but that's something that we do need to look at.
Absolutely, we'll take that back.
I mean, it's good for the employees to pay less, and it may be good for us for it not to go against,
Paying that,
not go against our,
right.
our numbers, right? Oh, here comes Borden. Uh-oh.
A few years ago, we actually had a gentleman who wasn't representing GoodRx, but represented another prescription drug discount card. He gave a presentation as public comment, and from there, the board directed Keenan to look at these discount cards compared to our program. And what we found is, in fact, that at times GoodRx can provide a better value. We did evaluate specifically. We went into a significant drug list. What we found are lower costing drugs often are more affordable for a person just going to GoodRx rather than paying a copayment and so forth through the drug. But when it comes to the higher costing drugs, the members are better off going through the SJVIA prescription drug. We can update that study if you'd like, or revisit it, but the recommendation that came out of it as an information item was that members use GoodRx and use their card and be judicious relative to how and be a good consumer of prescription drugs that way.
Great, thank you. Nathan?
Couple questions since we're on this particular item. So I mentioned earlier, and it was confirmed, that we're still going through the RFP process when it comes to prescription drugs, but it's my understanding too that we're looking at delaying that process an additional 6 months and maybe renegotiating with ImperiRx, and I think that just posted on the website if I'm not mistaken. Why are we delaying and not moving forward?
We're going to discuss that in the next item on some of the rationale behind it.
Okay, then I'll wait till the next item. And then again, looking at this, one of the things, if we go back to the number of utilizers for the different types of specialty drugs that are up there, something else that's concerning too is there are in some cases 1 or 2 utilizers of drugs that are costing us $250,000 in some cases. So, and I recognize that sometimes that is the only drug available. What I would like to see as we take a look at some of these more expensive drugs is, are there alternatives, and what's been done to try to find alternative drugs that do similar as some of these more expensive drugs out there? Because again, very quickly, you can have just a handful of patients that really drive up the overall spend within the prescription category.
Absolutely. And the specialty drugs all have to go through prior authorization before they are even filled. So they are going through that. What I'll ask is I'll get some details. So most likely it's already been looked at, making sure, is there something else? Have they tried it or any of that? But I'll get a fuller detailed report for it.
And the way my mind works is, again, with ImperiRx, who we use, who is kind of watching over them, because I recognize that while they do get discounts, the more prescriptions that are sold, they make money on all of this too. So to me, it's almost like while they are our provider for this particular category, we need to have like a second layer, a second entity kind of overseeing them and qualifying that, yeah, this is, we're operating the most efficient and affordable way possible.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that Keenan Pharmacy Services does at the end of the year. Our audit, we are pulling all of that, especially that clinical guarantee that they guarantee. We go through those and making sure they are hitting that mark, but we'll certainly take that back. I'll get a full prior auth report and just kind of like what we were doing with the GLP-1s, try to pinpoint, is there anything else? But I'll take a look at that and take that back.
Okay, this was an information item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 14 is an action item, and that is to receive and approve Plan Year 2026 Dental Marketing Report and Recommendation. Borden.
Okay, thank you, Borden Darm with Keenan. This year we did a full dental RFP. We had 5 carriers respond. They included, make sure, Aetna, Guardian, Anthem, Delta Dental, and MetLife. After reviewing and their qualifications and so forth, we presented to SJVIA staff a preliminary report and selected finalists from that. And from there, Delta Dental and Anthem were selected as finalists. From the 2, we requested additional information, checked references, as well as had finalist interviews with both of them. Before I share the recommendation, I just kind of want to go over very quickly and briefly just some of the key factors. This page is perfect, thank you. First, access to providers was deemed very, very important. This has been voiced by this board, especially from Tulare County, relative to access issues. So we were looking for the most robust network and so forth. To the right of this page, you see that we have the 2 counties separated. We'll focus on the PPO network. We don't have that much enrollment in the DHMO, but what you can see is a comparison. 853, that's Delta Dental, and 193, that was Anthem. We did that unnamed, so we didn't know going through the preliminaries who was who, so we could make an unbiased determination by staff. And you see that there are more general dental dentists under the Delta Dental and more specialists compared to Anthem. So that was one key element. On the next page, what we also did is we gave 2024 a complete data file of all the dental procedures done by both by members of both counties. We did, we looked at the number of providers that were utilized in both counties, and then we also looked at what the total submitted charge. Submitted charge is what the carriers asked to be paid. They are then discounted based off network contracts and so forth. And what we found is that in total, there were 1,225 unique providers utilized, of which all but 115 were in network for Delta Dental, and 239 were out of network for Anthem. Relative to procedures, there were 69,309 procedures done. Of those procedures, all but 4,663 were done in network for Delta Dental, and 13,721 were done out of network would have been done out of network for Anthem, but based on the member usage. And that amounts to basically the out of network submitted charges would have been, were for Delta Dental, 847,000 versus 2.8 million, so $2 million more in submitted charges out of network. And the reason out of network is so important, when you go and see, as one of the complaints that we heard here is, as you go out of network, there can be a couple of things. A provider can ask for payment up front before the procedure is done. When you go out of network, also, after the carrier pays the claim, there can be a request from the provider to pay an additional amount because that carrier does not have a contract obligation with that provider. And so it's called balance billing. And so balance billing can apply too. So the concern is that roughly $2 million in submitted charges could be subject to balance billing and could also be subject to having to be paid up front prior to the services being done. So with that, we recognize that especially paying out front can be a concern. Delta Dental did share with us that there's actually a credit card that people can apply for. And this credit card is kind of outlined, if we go forward 2 more pages. It's called their healthcare spending card. It's through Lane Health. And basically it offers 0% financing for 12 months. So if a member should need to go see a provider, they could use that card for any upfront payment requirements. And then when they receive the reimbursement, at that point, pay their card back, basically. That would assist for that issue. For Anthem, one of the nice features is that they can bill the provider directly versus Delta Dental that can't, the out-of-network providers directly. So there's a benefit there as well, too. All these things were taken into consideration, and the recommendation is that we renew with Delta Dental. However, that we closely monitor over 2026 to make sure that any, if there is continued disruption, greater disruption, that we reopen and look for an alternate carrier, especially in Tulare County, where the issue is greater than in Fresno County. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for Borden on this item? Nathan?
So again, I mean, this is really important because I know in Tulare County, I don't want to speak for them, this has been affecting them pretty heavily. But my question is, we just got like the details of this information presented to us at the dais, and while I was following along with the presentation here, why wasn't this given to us, you know, several days in advance versus here at the meeting?
So we had the finalist interviews on Friday, and the final determination by staff to which direction wasn't finalized until yesterday.
Okay. And then I would imagine that Lupe and Hollis, as you looked at all this, you both as well support moving forward for the time being with the current incumbent?
Actually, so I brought up a concern to Borden today. We feel that there wasn't enough time for us to truly dive deep into the data because we just had our interviews on Friday and we spent all week looking at the information they provided us. For right now, I think we have enough to say that we're okay with Delta Dental because they do have a larger network than any of the other providers. The issue here is more of we weren't given the full list of providers from the 2 carriers that we interviewed. So it was really hard to compare, like we interviewed Anthem, for example, all the providers that Anthem has in comparison to all the providers that Delta Dental have. we only looked at the providers that were in the Delta Dental network that they processed claims that were actually in and out of network, but they actually received claims for, and that's what we reviewed. So I'm not completely 100% comfortable that we truly have the full network for both agents, for both carriers. But for right now, that's why I asked Borden, I'd like for us to monitor this, and if it becomes a problem next year, over the course of the year, then come back and revisit the proposal. And I was asking if we can do a one-year agreement versus doing a 3-year agreement, or come back and visit it within 1 year. Just because there's more information in the Anthem network that we didn't have access to in the presentations that they gave us. And we didn't have enough time to review all the information. So as far as Delta Dental is concerned, we are comfortable with the network that we have right now, but if we continue to have problems with dentists leaving or not providing services to our employees, then I definitely would like to come back and revisit.
So I have a question. Why was it just a week before our meeting that you guys met with them? Is that on their timeline, or?
At the last.
It doesn't give staff enough time.
Right, I understand. From the at the time we last met, the at the July board meeting, the preliminary report was completed, and we were going to move forward into the finalists, getting schedules together to review the information. Took longer than it should have. We did announce the finalists and asked them to prepare about 2 weeks ago, more than 2 weeks ago. We asked them questions. We asked for them to provide responses by Wednesday, 2 days before. They did. We forwarded those responses to staff in advance of our finalist interviews. We had them prepare for those questions as well. And in the finalist, we did review the concerns that were brought up relative to, and we evaluated the network based on what Tulare County member usage was and based on what Fresno County usage was, both on an in and an out of network basis. So what we didn't evaluate and what Lupe wanted us to evaluate is the entire size of the network relative to providing names of all the providers who weren't utilized by members in each county. We gave a summary report, which I showed earlier, of just the numbers of how many providers there are. But out of that, the request was, to list those that hadn't been utilized. And we can work with the carriers to get that, but that request came this week.
Okay. Yeah, Larry?
So you said, Lupe, you feel comfortable proceeding. I mean, my thing is that we knew this was coming. It's been coming a long time, and I don't think it's fair to us as a board to make a decision when we don't have all the facts. So my question is, do you need this continued? And if you do, is there an impact or potential impact to our employees?
There's no impact to our employees other than continue using the dental providers that you're currently using. I think that the issue here is that some employees are using out of network, and they're having the problem with having to pay up front because they're out of network. Well, to solve that issue was this health savings card that Delta presented to us, which apparently is something that they have that I don't know exactly when it started, but that would help with paying up front. Instead of them paying out of pocket, they can use this card to pay for the expenses that they would incur for an out-of-network provider. I'm comfortable with moving forward. I just believe that if we really want to expand our network, I want us to be able to look further into the other carrier over the course of the year to ensure that we're not missing out on other providers.
Well,
And maybe have more in-network providers than we currently do.
I mean, I'm almost seeing a trend here on other RFPs that have come to us, and we're not getting all the information. And I just find it highly unacceptable that there's a timeline. And I get things happen, but, I mean, we've had this last 2 years, right, Nathan? That we've been looking at stuff, and we do not get all the information. And I just think it's unacceptable. So if you're comfortable with it, that's fine. Borden, when I brought this up, I'm the one that brought this up, it was occurring in Tulare County. And we found more and more dentists that they were out of network with Delta Dental because there was issues with them. And you told me you were aware of it at the time, and we wanted a letter out, and you guys were aware of what was occurring, and it was becoming I don't know if an issue, but it was becoming a bigger problem. What are you hearing? Is this continuing to be a problem with Delta Dental and these doctors who were in network and all of a sudden are out of network?
Yeah, so that for the most part, most of those decisions have been made. We did present to staff a report for 2024 and also for 2025 year-to-date of providers in each county that were added to the network and those that termed from the network to see the net change. And it has minimized to a certain extent. So that it's not as severe, and I think that goes to Lupe's comment relative to let's monitor it for another year to see if we can settle it. My biggest concern for Tulare County is moving to an alternate network, such as Anthem's, that first of all, yes, you will expose more of your members to out-of-network providers. And it could be to the tune that they could see if 24 is repeated, it could be $2 million in submitted charges, meaning, and a lot of the savings that were generated were based on out-of-network. The carriers typically don't pay a substantial amount in reimbursements because it's out-of-network, there's no contract, which leads to balance billing. So my biggest concern is that there's several. There's one, more out-of-network providers will be utilized by move to Anthem. Two, more members will be asked to pay up front. Hopefully, having a card that they can use will alleviate some of that burden. And then three, that once the provider receives the reimbursement, that it's insufficient and the member is out of pocket more. And that would happen with a greater propensity.
And I understand it, and I want minimal disruption for all of our staff, Fresno and Tulare County, but the problem is what I'm hearing, and if I'm wrong, Lupe, correct me, is we're not given all the facts to make that decision. It is apparent right now that Anthem has less providers in Tulare County, and I agree that 100%. However, I don't think we've had time to research it. And coming to us and not giving all the facts and the information to where we can sit down and make a good, hard decision is just not appropriate. Now, this card, my understanding, is that a credit card or is it like a cafeteria plan? So we're going to have ours, we expect our staff to file for a credit card?
Right.
Yeah.
An interest-paying credit card?
No. For 12 months, there's no interest on that card.
Okay.
So the thought process is that the member receives the reimbursement well before any interest would apply, and so they receive their money back. But again, what they receive back could be less than what the doctor charged, meaning they would have to pay the difference because it's out of network.
Sure, I understand that.
And I will say this, that we feel we gave the information that is needed. The information that's being requested is information relative to size of network that members are not utilizing to give them. And again, if you go to the website from one day to the next, that network changes as people add and are deleted from the network and changes happen. So we can get it at a snapshot in time and we'll go back to both carriers and ask for that. But again, there's no financial value in it because the members aren't going to those providers. We evaluate the network where the members were actually going and what the cost impact would be relative to that.
So I've said this before, having been a county employee and suffered the consequences
Sure.
of a board making a decision that don't have all the facts, and then the excuse to the staff is, well, we didn't know. Well, no, it's our job to know. So all I want is next time we have an RFP or something comes to us, I want all the facts. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Thank you, and that is a direct lead into the next agenda item, but this one is an action item as well.
All right, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Supervisor McCary with a second by Supervisor Vanderpool. Thank you. I appreciate that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. I apologize, I did not ask if there were any public comment on this item. Is there? Okay, then we will move on. Borden, the next item?
All right. Oops. Just buried it. This is regarding the RFP marketing, and similar to dental, we went through the same type of a process. One of the big delays was relative to, we received the proposals. At the time of we received the proposals, we had asked all the PBMs to provide an executable contract, meaning a contract that they could execute for the SJVIA specifically. What we received were sample contracts. So we went back and requested an executable contract. We received that executable contract and delivered a preliminary report back in July to staff, and from there we went into having a conversation with them relative to choosing finalists and so forth. We chose two finalists, CVS Caremark, which was offering a specific program through NACO, and Anthem. At that time, Empirics was not offered a finalist position. And we then started doing our evaluation and went through a similar process of looking through, asking questions based off of the executable contract. The responses, and we did have some delays due to just timing of being able to get calls together with staff, but we did choose finalists about 2.5 weeks ago. They were contacted, they were given a list that they were supposed to provide responses to by Wednesday prior to the finalist interviews. One of the vendors literally provided they were late, 2 days late, actually right about an hour before their finalist presentation, they provided their responses. What we found was amongst the finalists, there were some inconsistencies in the contract between what was shown, many hidden costs that were buried in the contract as well too. And I think probably one of the biggest areas of concern was, and this was our Keenan Pharmacy Services team that really went deep into the weeds, where the projected rebates that were shown, they used certain drugs that weren't even eligible for rebates anymore, and basically overstated the rebates that they had, such that the restatement caused that, whether it's Empirics, whether it's Anthem, or whether it's CVS Caremark, once we did the final analysis, the numbers were very similar. And so with that said, there was, we had further discussions with staff regarding a lot of the inconsistencies, and staff said we need to understand all these aspects a lot better. So the direction that staff gave us was, one, that we look to delay for a July 1 implementation. Two, that we meet with the finalists to get the clarifications relative to their administrative costs. With one of them, we basically found that there were some hidden fees that were added, which would be greater than the actual admin fee that they showed us. And so that was of concern. So that we basically have several meetings with the finalists to really understand their contracts, what the value is, how the rebates are actually produced, and how the SJVIA is paid on those rebates. Because the one thing we wanted was, and what we've had is transparency, and we wanted to maintain that environment. So with that said, the request is that we renew with Empirics for a 6-month period and have a new effective date on the PBM marketing for July 1.
Nathan.
Surprised I have questions?
Yeah.
All right, so Hollis and Lupe, you've been involved in this process. Share with me some of the concerns that you have, if any. And right now with ImperiRx, when does that contract end before we take any action?
We have a 4th-year option with them through next year.
So a 4th-year option through next year. So right now, when does it end if we don't extend that 4th-year option?
At the end of the year.
Okay, so right now, technically, we've got until December 31, 2025, correct?
We do, but we're also talking about, you know, the PBMs prefer 120 days to implement too. They can do it in 90, but 120 is what they prefer.
All right, so to my original question, share your thoughts. I'd like to hear from Hollis and Lupe. And then I've got a couple other questions.
Sure. You know, as we've gone through this process, one of the things that as we were getting to kind of the end, there was also some repricing with some October changes to their formulary, which vastly changed the finance part of it. So that's a concern that all of a sudden at the last minute we're repricing and then having to come up with a recommendation that neither of us felt comfortable with, because as we've even started looking at it, finding some of these hidden fees buried in a narrative rather than being kind of upfront, it made us wonder, like, what else are we not seeing here? So rather than tossing the whole process out, we said, okay, let's just take a pause. We need to get a very standardized way to look at this. And in fact, we'd actually like to ask a member from each county to sit in on some additional finalist interviews. And then also...
I recommend Supervisor Makari.
Go, okay, so... There is just enough questions. And so Supervisor, also with the County of Fresno's consultant, having them take a look at it, bringing up additional questions, Alliant looking at it from their end. It was, I just couldn't come to you with, in good conscience, to say I've got a recommendation, because we just do not have a handle on the finances.
When's our next SJVIA meeting?
December 6th.
We can do one sooner. You know, we certainly can at your recommendation, but the next scheduled one is in December.
What day in December? I thought it was...
Fresno?
Oh, okay. I thought I heard the 5th, okay.
Early December.
So maybe something I'll throw out, and then I've got a couple of other questions, is if you're looking for a representative from Tulare and a representative from Fresno, maybe there's a subcommittee the chair could form to look into this, and maybe over the course of the next 30 days, kind of look into this. And if there's an opportunity to keep us on track, we do that. But if it looks like we do need an additional 6 months, you maybe authorize the subcommittee to pull that trigger. But if it looks like we can take a direction, we would call a special meeting to maybe execute a contract. But that's what I would throw out, and we can figure that out in a minute. But, so some concerns I have. So you're talking about how you dug into the narrative and you found some hidden fees. Isn't it true with ImperiRx, it wasn't that long ago that they didn't give us all of our rebates? They kept a portion of them?
In 2018 and through 20, so 3 years.
The reason I bring that up is, and actually too, when we went through the last RFP, as we looked at prescription drugs, we were watching some respondents modify proposals kind of on the fly, as I would call it. What I'm used to when you do an RFP is you submit a proposal and that is it. No one's given an opportunity to match somebody else's pricing. So I feel like there still is some gamesmanship that's being played here, which really irritates me. And two, if we go back and look at the RFP that was submitted by ImperiRx and how they talked about utilization and trying to work to drop that. In reality, in practice, what we see is we see our costs and utilization continuing to go up. When we take a look at discounts in general and rebates, both of those, from my experience, and I'm no expert in this space, typically the larger entities in the market are able to negotiate better pricing just because economies of scale. ImperiRx, great company, but still, their own words, I think, and even yours, they're a boutique. And I think when they started with us. We were like one of their first clients, correct?
Yes.
So I look at all of this, and I'm irritated because you should be an expert. You should be able to kind of cut through all of this, and so we don't have to have these extensions. There shouldn't be any surprises like this. But I'm willing to volunteer myself to work along Larry McCarry so we can, kind of get to the meat of the matter on this, because I want to put this to bed sooner rather than later. And I would propose not granting a 6-month extension, but allow us to look at this over the course of the next 30 days. And if we believe that we can get an item back to this board quickly that's going to benefit our members, I want to do that, because 6 months, if we can bring a provider on, 6 months of savings for them and us could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we need all the savings we can garner right now in these tough times.
And I'll just say I concur with Supervisor Magzik. I think we can have a special meeting if necessary, and I get that the PBMs may prefer 120 days, but you know what? There's a lot of PBMs out there that would prefer our business. So I think it's important that we just do what's necessary, even if we have to move our schedules around, if it's going to save us money, especially at a time when we're facing double-digit increases, at least in Tulare County. We need every penny that we can get. So I'm open to do that, and I hope the rest of my colleagues will be as well.
Looping Halls, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being up front and bringing this to our attention, because again, we'd have voted on something and not had all the details. And Borden, I'm sorry, but I think Nathan hit it on the head. You guys are the experts. We're just guys voting on it, and we got to trust you that you're bringing us all the information that's coming forward. I do have some questions though about delays, and I'm in favor of postponing this because we're not going to go. However, I want to know is are we looking at any kind of penalties? We're currently in the contract, but if we cut out sooner and we do a temporary contract with them, are we looking at anything any kind of additional costs? Are we going to forfeit any kind of savings? Are we going to forfeit any kind of rebates that come up upon termination because they want a 1-year contract we're cutting out in 6? Is there anything that could be a disadvantage to us by delaying this and making this move?
I can help answer that question. So you have a clause in the contract that you can term at any time with a 90-day notice. Lupe forwarded me your questions. I had the contract looked at this morning. As of right now, I need to go back and just dig into it one more time, but to follow up, right now, we do not see any impact to your rebates. You'll get paid for any rebates that, up until that time. So if you extend or you term at any point, you get paid for any rebates for the claims while you're in the contract. Your performance guarantees and your reconciliation, what we see right now is that it's done annually. There doesn't seem to be any impact to that if you term it at a mid-year point or anything else like that, but that's one thing we want to double check on. But as of right now is what we are seeing. You won't pay anything else. You've got that out clause as long as it's a 90-day notice at any point. And as far as we can see at this moment, that you wouldn't impact your reconciliation either.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
A motion?
I'm sorry, Supervisor Strickland, can I make a comment? The sooner we review this, the better it's going to be for everyone, because Tulare County's open enrollment begins the first week of October. And so we're gearing up right now to print our materials. So it's important that we can always leave off the pharmacy part of it and for later and just do an insert, but that's important for us because we start open enrollment much sooner than
I think you have an ad hoc committee that's willing to meet as soon as possible, probably like next week, you know, maybe this weekend, you know,
Okay.
just let them know.
Larry?
Borden, so when do we think and I'm looking at KPS and looking at our own consultants, when are we going to be able to have the financial piece of this and get our questions to the vendors with hard deadlines that they need to respond to? And if they don't, as far as I'm concerned, they're out of the running.
Yeah. At this point, we can get the responses written, but what really needs to happen is a dialogue on those fees and so forth. So we really need to have that meeting, and I apologize for not meeting your expectations. I will say that the RFP process, because you're a public entity, limits the scope to which I can go back. And so perhaps I should have been more diligent with staff and said that we need to go back earlier or whatever. But a lot of these things are coming up as the vendors have changed things. And it's kind of difficult when they say, oh, by the way, just want to let you know your specialty list is changing and it's going to impact what we gave you. Do we eliminate that person or do we evaluate it? So they're difficult decisions to make and to come to. They're unfortunate, but they happened. So if we can, I think you have two eager vendors that both want to get this resolved. So we can coordinate our schedules and come back hopefully, I would say as early as next Friday or, well, the Monday thereafter I think is Labor Day, but that following week.
So Larry, what does your calendar look like?
We'll look at it afterwards and see. And we have a bunch of conferences in September, so we need to get.
My thought is
next
like
week.
Monday. Yeah. This Monday, I've got a window where we can do a Zoom. That way you don't have to come to Fresno. I don't have to travel here. Maybe we can do a Zoom sometime between like 2 and 4, if that works for everyone.
We're done here, we'll calendar it.
Yep.
And we'll be done. If I may, Amy.
Absolutely,
So,
of course.
I don't know the rules, I don't know the policies, but we all know the dates. We know the dates when the contract's ending. We know when open enrollment starts. We know every bit of that. So why don't we start much sooner, or can we, on this process? Because we know dates are coming up, just like an election. We know the date's coming up. We don't wait till 2 weeks before it and we start. So I'd like to know does it take a recommendation from this board to say, hey, you know what? You guys need to start a year out knowing we're going to come up, so that way our back's not against the wall.
We felt that we did start on a timely manner. This decision was originally scheduled to be made at the July, but yet by the time the PBMs got the executable contracts to us, made it kind of difficult to do. And in hindsight, we probably should have made a list of things that were missing, present those to staff, and then ask permission to go to each vendor and say, we don't have these things. You said you were supposed to get them to us.
So I've said it before, and my opinion is this. They want to do business with us, okay? And they need to meet our deadlines, and they need to provide us a full RFP. And if they're not willing to come to meet that level, that minimum requirement, what kind of a job are they going to do for us and our employees? So I don't know if it takes direction from us or not, but I think this process needs to be started much sooner and give us time to where in the July meeting, we talked about it and there's questions and you come back to the August meeting, not we're a month out for open enrollment for our county.
Fair enough.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion, whatever that may be, which would include the ad hoc committee.
So here's the motion I make.
Sure.
And if you're okay with it, Madam Chairwoman. With this item, I would propose that we form an ad hoc committee, which would consist of Larry and myself, and that this body empowers us to work with staff, and from there, if it looks like we can proceed with a preferred vendor, then we will work with you to call a special meeting. If it becomes apparent within the next 2 to 3 weeks that we cannot do that, then you empower us as well to go up to 6 months to push back with our current provider to buy us the time that we need, so we make sure that we look at all the facts and do right by our employees.
Council, does that sound?
It's a pretty long motion. Is
No,
there any way to like truncate that? And
So if it's not able to happen, we're automatically going to go to the 6 months okay.
And again, if you can give Larry and I a little bit of leeway with that, because I would like to, I don't want to automatically just give 6 months.
Right.
Let us figure that out and work with staff. And
I would hope we have a meeting late September, early October.
Special meeting?
A special meeting. I mean, us meeting this as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're gonna, yep.
I would hope that we have a special meeting late September, early October.
And maybe even early September. I think we can get to the heart of this matter pretty quick.
Yep.
We have 2 weeks in September. We'll be
Matter of fact,
conferences, RCRC, and then
I'll
SJV
go
RAC.
back here and have a quick discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
Staff, did you get that? Good? Okay, that's the motion. And we have a second by
I'll second what he
Supervisor
said.
McCary. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. Thank you. Oh, I just want to add one thing also when you're looking. I mentioned earlier about the Amazon pharmacy. If that's something that can be looked into, this would probably be an appropriate item to do that.
Can you call for public comment on that too before?
I can. Is there any public comment on the last item? I apologize.
I guess I'll state my name for the record, Riley Talford. I'm out of Fresno County, representing our HVAC as well as one of the larger bargaining units, SEIU. I think the board's on the right track in regards to how you're dealing with this PBM issue. But, when I hear things such as transparency and hidden fees and things of that nature, I like sending a message. I like to send them a term now, let them bid for, say, hey, your contract's ending in 90 days. You want to come with a better, solid offer that's fully transparent? We'll look at it. But they should be given no guarantees. They had an opportunity to present their best offer to us, and it came back after further looking into it to have hidden fees and transactions that cost the plan more than what they stated. So
I hope you're okay with the direction we're going.
I'm definitely okay with direction. And I trust Supervisor Magsick that he's usually sharp and diligent on his numbers.
I'm going to make a T-shirt
We
that
need to
says
talk
SEIU
afterwards.
521, trust Supervisor Magsick.
He needs a purple shirt now. Thank you very much for your comments. Appreciate it. Okay, we can now move on to our next item. Where'd my agenda go? There it is. Which is item we just did 15. Item 16, to receive the consultant's report, plan year 2026 underwriting renewal report.
Okay, I'll be presenting this as well too. So this is, we have 2 quite different renewals for the County of Fresno on an overall for all their lines of coverage. it works out to be about a 3.29% increase. Compared to County of Tulare, that is 17.29%. And then for an overall SJVI renewal of 7.14%. I will say this, that, in past years, there's been alternative sources of funding, predominantly ARPA funds, that were utilized, which basically, and we've had this discussion, that when you use those type of funds to buy down your rate, it was with the hope and expectation that the utilization would curve down as well too. Otherwise, you're just pushing off to the next year what the renewal rate should be. With that said, wanted to kind of go to page 2 of the report, where it kind of outlines the EPO, which is a Fresno County benefit design, requires a 1.6%. The PPO and high deductible PPO plan is 12.45, but that's somewhat misleading because the high deductible health plan is the only plan that you have for 2025. The PPO plan went away, but because we're underwriting from the last half of 24 and the first half of 25, that's commingled there in that. So we're going to take care of that in the renewal rate adjustments. And what we saw in the migration is many of the PPO plans members went into the EPO 0 plan that Fresno County offers. But we do have a remedy for that as well. The Tulare is 18.6%. And then on the Kaiser side, it's basically for the HMO and the high deductible health plans, about 6.25% increase. The actual increase is somewhat higher, but what we did is, because of our reserve position, that we're fully funded in both IBNR and stabilization reserve, as well as we have a excess reserve that was currently reported just under $10 million. We've taken out all margin for both counties on not only the self-funded plans, but we also had a point in there for Kaiser. So we've taken that out, so their rate actually represents their rate now compared to a year ago, a rate with 1% margin. So from that perspective, the actual renewal was higher, but it comes down 1% because of that. For Delta Dental, the self-funded plan, we're leaving at recommending a 0, no change. And for the Delta HMO, which is fully insured, that's a 2.49% rate adjustment. VSP is in the third year of a rate guarantee, so there's no rate adjustment there, and thus you see the totals on the bottom. The next page just kind of goes over the aggregate annual totals. What I wanted to really focus in on are some of the things that we did to get the renewals down to a lower level. One of the things that the underwriters noticed when, now that we have a substantial reserve, there is interest income that reserve builds. It was about $1 million in the last audited statement for fiscal year 24. And that interest income either just goes to accumulate the reserve larger, or we can use it to offset rates. This year, what we elected to do is take 50% of the interest income, not the full amount, and offset the rates by about $500,000 for the two counties. The other thing that both counties were interested in, they have their plans that are loss leaders, and those plans that are loss leaders typically are the coverages that are more first dollar coverage, as opposed to having a higher copayment or deductible. And so they were interested that the plans stand a little bit more on their own based off of the actual experience, rather than what we've done in the past is we've passed a common renewal to all the plans. So there are some adjustments that we made relative to that as well too. In addition to that, Tulare County is targeting about a 12% renewal. And so what we did is we looked at plan designs, and I'll go into the plan designs in a moment, but plan designs were able to go from 18.6 to about 16.4. So there's some plan design considerations here as well too. The balance of the, how do we get from 16.4 down to 12? A lot of it has to do, and this is where I'm looking for board approval or hopefully board approval. But the stabilization reserve, the excess reserve, is wonderful that we have it, but it's something that's weighed against the actual rates that the members are going to be paying. And so because of, like I explained earlier, we had these bumps in previous years due to ARPA. What if we expect 8 to 10%? If we passed on a 12%, we'll be catching up to the rate we need to be, but basically we're putting in a 2-3 year strategy to get them right-sized. And in it, what we're doing is we're looking to say, okay, we have the reserves on hand should the 12% not be enough. So yes, it does mean that we may be in a deficit. It all depends if we're hit our numbers from a projection basis. But from that, what it does, it relieves the members of some of the responsibility. It's about a $2 million, it's just under $2 million is the retro amount that would be applied. And we're saying if we could fund that from those reserves, that would smooth it out a little bit, looking for slowly catching up to the right rate. The alternative would be to move it to 16.4. In addition to that, one change that County of Fresno wants to make to their plan design is to their high deductible health plan to keep it in line. Well, one of the things we've seen over the last few years is to be a health savings account eligible plan, you have to meet certain federal guidelines. And those federal guidelines have each year increased the single and the family deductible by $50 and $100. So at one point we had a $1,600 deductible, and to meet the guidelines we had to raise it to $1,650 and $3,300. This up, and that's gone on for a number of years. The county is recommending they just want to move it to $2,000 and $4,000, the deductible, and this is for the pre-65 retirees, so that the plan will be eligible, and so that they don't have to keep jumping up on the on the plan design changes year over year, that they can just leave it at one level and offer it in that capacity. Relative to Tulare County, there's, to reduce costs by 2.2%, they want to increase the emergency room co-payment from $100 to $250, plus the associated co-insurance for each of those plans. In addition, they'd like to create a new plan, and the plan design is shown in here. Right now, the Tulare County has 3 plans, and then a high deductible health plan with a $2,500 deductible. The span between the $2,500 deductible and the next closest plan has a $750 deductible. And so the $750 deductible has over 2,800 of your members in it. The other plans make up the difference, which is about 500 members.
And on that note, real quick, I don't know if you want to comment or if Lupe can comment. What's driving the cost? Which of the plans is the cost increase really concentrated in? I think that's very important a very important point to make right now.
Yeah, it's your 2 richest plans. Yeah. Both of them have loss ratios over 150%. So 100% is you're hitting the mark, so you can imagine it's substantially over. You don't have a lot of volume in
when
there.
you say the richest plans,
That's
how many employees are in it, and what are those plans? I just want it said publicly.
The zero deductible plan has approximately a little over 100 people, and the 500 plan has less than 300.
Okay.
And those, the zero has no deductible and a $20 copay, and the 500 plan has $500 deductible. So the employee gets more benefit when they use those two plans.
What was the number in the 0%?
In the zero, we have.
I mean, zero cost deductible, how many
A
members?
little over 100 employees. I don't have the exact number.
And they have lower benefits also in these plans?
Better, the
No.
zero deductible has.
I mean,
better
like co-pays and whatnot?
Yes.
The lowest copays, so the richest plans. So the employee's not out as much money. As you go up in your deductible, obviously the employees are going to be more out of pocket when they use the plan.
Okay.
And we've never spread the renewal increases based on utilization of each plan. We've always, like Borden said, we've always just given straight across the board, straight across increases to everyone. But now, because we have such a high increase this year, we want to make sure that every plan's paying for itself, and that we have the right rates for the plan.
And it's not trying to punish, it's trying to make people, we're trying to drive change and health betterment, but also, it's difficult when you have someone receiving a very rich plan, very rich benefits, driving up the costs for everyone, even people that are paying, maybe a lesser cost in their overall plan because they've chosen a high deductible, but the increase is still passed on to them as well.
Right. And I think that's one reason we're going to get to a slide that's going to show a staggered approach, not everybody getting that same percentage, but rather the higher plans getting a higher percentage increase than the other plans. The other point that I wanted to make is in the 750 plan, we have so many employees. We have 2,800. I believe there are many employees in there that are saying, I'm in the 750 plan because the $2,500 deductible is too far away. You only have 41 people in that plan, in the high deductible health plan. And so I believe by putting a plan that moves the needle a little bit, so from 750 to 1,250 deductible, that we will see a good portion of that 2,800, I'm projecting 500, would move into that plan. And if we have that, then we're going to also see the savings. Should we have a greater number in rollover, then that kind of goes into the retro play that maybe we don't need as much of an increase overall because they're taking on more of the responsibility for themselves. And you have a outline in the middle. I only put 3 of the plans on the exhibit here, the 750 and the 2,500. And you can see the 1,250 is not a PPO plan, it's an EPO. So it uses the PPO network, but it's an exclusive provider organization. So that means that there are no out-of-network benefits except for emergencies. But otherwise, you're expected to use the Anthem PPO network. Any questions on the plan designs or anything? Or Lupe, comment? Or?
So I want to comment on the rates. The reason, one of the reasons I believe that we have so few employees in the high deductible health plan is because it's a $2,500 deductible plan. And the spread between the rates wasn't great enough between the 750 and the 2,500 for employees to move over to that plan. With the 1,250 plan in the middle, now that we're doing it because we're recommending a zero increase to the high deductible plan, the rates stay the same, but it creates a bigger spread between the 750 and the high deductible plan. With the 1,250 plan, it kind of creates another spread. So in between, there still isn't a wide enough spread between the plans, but we'll see how
the plan performs, if we have it rated correctly. If we don't have it rated correctly, then we'll have to come back next year and look and see if we need to increase a bigger spread between the rates. But right now, at least, it gives the employees another option other than the 750 plan to enroll in. And I believe the cost between the two plans will be about $100 between the 750 plan and the high deductible health plan.
It's priced in such a manner that if you do the math, you're going to save more than the increase of the $500 deductible over the course of the year in the rates, and the same is true for the family at $1,000 increase.
What I'm hearing is staff is supportive of this recommendation, and I'll move for staff's recommendation on item 16.
Well,
Are you done?
He's got to finish his presentation, and there has to be
And then public comment,
too.
right.
yeah, I want you to go to page 6 real quick, because as opposed to going to everybody gets the same increase, you can see there on the top is County of Fresno. Basically, the EPO 0, which has the highest loss ratio, everybody else is self-sustaining. So they will carry the full increase of 2.86%. The other self-funded plans do not require an increase. The Kaiser plans are fully insured, so that's why we pass on that, as well as the dental HMO. Everything else is 0. For the Tulare County, you have 3 options. You can say we're not going to put any plan design changes and it's just status quo. That's option 1. Option 2 is putting the 2.4% plan changes in. Option 3 is the plan design changes plus a retro arrangement to get it down to 12%. And you can see that it's the Anthem 750 plan that would get 12% on option 3. And then the other 2, the 0 and the 500, would get a 17.7% increase. The Anthem.
Gordon, I'm sorry, there's an error on the dental PPO.
Yeah, I was going to. I just noticed that. Okay. I'll speak to that. The Anthem 2500 is just a 0.5% increase, so those rates won't change much. The same on the fully insured Kaiser rates as with Fresno County, and the Senior Advantage. You have that plan through the SJVIA as well too. The one thing on the dental PPO, that is a 0, not a 6.99. So the recommendation is, and we'll get a correction for that. And then you have the others as listed. Now I'm done.
And the option that we are recommending is option 3A, where we're deferring some of the increase for future years.
Staff's recommendation, and to be clear, option 3A, which is staff's recommendation.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions from directors?
Let me just say real quick, I just want to say thank you to Borden and to our staff. Originally, and while these numbers don't look great, these renewal rates, they're a hell of a lot better than what they were. And yeah, we were facing some pretty dire increases, and you really had to think outside the box on this one. And so I appreciate all involved who made this happen and brought this in front of us with some creativity and hopefully making this to where it's going to hopefully drive some changes.
Thank you.
And I think through the last couple of years, we've been able to buy down, you know, with ARPA funds and whatnot. And I think that was an advantage, but it could have been also bittersweet because now when we see this big jump for our employees, if, you know, when they see this, they may not remember that we use funds to buy down in previous years. But all right, if there are no more questions, I will take public comment. That's you.
I already stated my name for the record once, but anyway, I was just going to say that I'm just kind of pleased with the overall direction that came in, concerned in regards to what I was potentially hearing what the Kaiser rates would be, that there'd be a double-digit increase, which would have caused migration and or destabilization of Kaiser. in my thought process, because those who are under treatment and care at Kaiser wouldn't be able to leave, but those who had option would have definitely left if they would have saw a double-digit rate increase. So those 2.7%, is not totally great. It's not bad either.
No, that's
So,
not bad at all nowadays.
so thank you for the action that was taken to at least bring that rate down to where it's still affordable for employees.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Okay, with that, I will bring it back. We have a motion by Supervisor Magsig. We have a second, Supervisor Bredefeld. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Motion passes. Okay. Our last item is Director Questions Announcements. Any questions or announcements?
Only comment I'll make is I just really appreciate Supervisor Makari and Supervisor Magsig for standing up to serve on that ad hoc. That was great.
Okay. Well, that's a good way to end it. Our next meeting, if we don't have a special meeting, is December 12th, and that will be in Fresno. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Meeting adjourned.